barricade situations. Almost never have we used an armored vehicle for anything to
Point of order.
Illegal immigration, Mr. Chairman.
Point of order, Mr.
Thank you,
Chairman.
Sheriff. The gentleman is out of time. If you have another question,
I have a point of order that I'd like to
state
raise.
your point of order.
Is it within the rules of this committee that the chairman can interrupt a legislator asking a question of a witness?
If that legislator is not allowing
time?
a witness to answer a question, you daggum right he can. Yes,
Well,
sir. The gentleman is out of time.
I take exception to the chairman.
The chair would now recognize the gentleman from Iowa, Mr. King.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
He needs some milk.
You want to win all the gift cards down below? All you gotta do is hit the like, subscribe, turn notifications on, leave a comment down below, and enjoy the video.
Get this question. You are opposed to immigration of persons south of the border coming to the U.S.
No, that's absolutely not true. I
Well,
support legal immigration, not illegal immigration.
Well, let me ask you this question. You realize that we have been struggling with comprehensive immigration reform for many years in this country, and it is politics that keeps us from doing it, correct?
No, I think that
you don't think it's politics?
I think that it's enforcement of the law. You may be dealing it.
Well, I mean, we're talking about changing the law so that we can have comprehensive immigration reform, but you are opposed to us doing that, correct?
The process, and I'll
Are you opposed to us considering comprehensive
in the order that you're doing it? Yes.
Okay.
That the border needs to be secured first, and then you can address that issue after.
All right. And that's a Republican position, Republican Party position, and you're a Republican, and I understand that. Let me ask you this question. Do you need automatic weapons to help you with border control?
We have in Arizona, through the chair,
if you could say yes or no, and then you could explain.
Semi-automatic weapons.
Do you need automatic weapons?
We don't have to have automatic weapons, no.
Do you need mine-resistant, ambush-protected vehicles to help you patrol the border?
Not for the border, but for our SWAT team, yes.
Thank you. Do you need silencers in order to help you patrol the border?
For our SWAT team, that's a tactical move, but it's not necessarily targeted.
Why does your SWAT team need mine-resistant, ambush-protected vehicles?
Because, sir, through the chair, our county doesn't have the money to buy a SWAT vehicle.
Why do you need it in order to enforce border security? Why do you need a mine-resistant, ambush-protected vehicle?
And this is where...
Thank you. And do you need...
No, sir. Sheriff, you may answer the question. You cannot ask a question and then not allow the witness to answer it.
Mr. Chairman, I wanted a yes or no answer. He answered the question, and I'm ready to move on.
Sheriff, have you answered the question as completely as you would like to?
Mr. Chairman, I'm ready to move on.
The gentleman is not recognized. Sheriff, have you answered the question as completely as you would like to?
And this is where us in law
Mr. Chairman, regular order, please. Regular order.
In law enforcement, we have 420,000 residents of my county, and we are the SWAT team for
Point of information,
all 13
Mr.
law enforcement agencies. And for high-risk warrants, barricade situations, almost never have we used an armored vehicle for anything to
Point of order.
Illegal immigration, Mr. Chairman.
Point of order, Mr.
Thank you, Sheriff. The gentleman is out of time. If you have another question,
I have a point of order that I'd like to
state your point of order.
Is it within the rules of this committee that the chairman can interrupt a legislator asking a question of a witness?
If that legislator is not allowing a witness to answer a question, you daggum right he can. Yes, sir. The gentleman is out of time.
I take exception to the chairman.
The chair would now recognize the gentleman from Iowa, Mr. King.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I thought there was an immunity agreement in place between the Department of Justice and this witness. So if he's been immunized and you can't prosecute anyone for anything, where is the criminal liability to him coming and answering questions? Which further assumes that every question you ask is going to expose him to criminal liability. There is no Fifth Amendment privilege against answering non-incriminating questions.
Let me also inject here.
No, I have great respect for Mr. Lynch. I have asked what kind of a...
His attorney, Mr. Pagliano's attorney, says in his letter that he was given limited immunity for that purpose.
Well, that raises another interesting question that I hope the gentleman from Massachusetts will help me figure out, which is when you've reached an agreement with the government, oftentimes it includes cooperation with other entities within that same government. So I wonder whether the Department of Justice in their proffer or immunity agreement with Mr. Pagliano made it clear that he needed to cooperate with another branch of government. We can't prosecute anyone. Only the Department of Justice can, and they've made it, frankly, crystal clear they're not prosecuting anyone in this fact pattern. So where's the criminal liability?
The gentleman has constitutional rights under the Fifth Amendment. Whether they are violated by the FBI or violated here in Congress,
well, but
still violated.
But as the gentleman from Massachusetts knows, the Fifth
witness,
Amendment...
he cannot be required to be a witness against himself.
Right, but the Fifth Amendment doesn't protect you from non-incriminating answers.
Well, we've got a criminal referral here.
Not on him. He can say
sure
his name.
Sure it is.
He can say where he worked.
Sure
Every answer
it was
doesn't
issued
incriminate
The
you.
gentleman from Massachusetts will suspend. The gentleman from South Carolina.
Could I engage with the chair in a colloquy?
Yes.
I thought witness Pagliano was granted immunity.
That's what I've read.
Well, Congress can't prosecute anyone, so the one entity who can has granted him immunity. I'm trying to figure out what his criminal liability is.
If the gentleman would yield.
Well, I was having a colloquy with the chairman,
I understand
but
that,
if
but
you can answer the question, I'll be happy to hear from you.
The FBI granted him limited immunity for the purpose of...
The FBI didn't grant him immunity. The Department of Justice granted him immunity.
That's correct. For that limited purpose.
How do you know it was limited use immunity? I haven't seen the immunity agreement.
Will the gentleman yield?
Sure.
But he can incriminate himself because we've issued a criminal referral here.
He's got immunity.
Because of he doesn't have immunity. He doesn't have immunity. You
haven't seen the immunity
I'll enter this.
agreement.
Look at it. If you want to read it yourself, it's from the gentleman's attorney. He's got limited immunity.
No, I'm going to need a more reliable source than a criminal defense attorney. I want to read the agreement itself. I want to read the agreement between the Department of Justice and this witness, and whether or not that agreement requires this witness to cooperate with other entities of government. That is commonplace. For them to say you can tell us the truth but you can't tell Congress makes no sense. That's all I want.
Okay, the gentleman will suspend. The committee should also be aware that the committee did send a subpoena to Mr. Pagliano to produce this immunity agreement. That was due today at 10 a.m., and he did not produce that as well. So he was under subpoena to not only have his presence here, but so that everybody on this panel can see this immunity agreement, which he supposedly has in his possession. Those documents were also subpoenaed by the committee, and he did not comply with that as well.
What we have done as a committee, and through you, on this referral, is put him under threat of criminal prosecution because of the issue that you're investigating. I understand that. But it puts him in jeopardy coming before this committee while that criminal referral is in existence. And I'm just saying, he's an American citizen. I know the Constitution gets in the way of this committee sometimes. Did the chairman issue a criminal referral on Mr. Pagliano?
When we heard that the FBI had not looked at anything that Secretary Clinton had testified under oath before Congress, we did give a referral. We issued it, but we don't know.
Here's my point. You issued a criminal referral for an individual, and then you ask him to come in here and testify before Congress. Let me
clarify.
That would require him to surrender his Fifth Amendment rights if you're referring him and putting him under threat of criminal prosecution and then asking him to come in here. That's not fair, and the immunity doesn't cover him because your referral for criminal prosecution came after the fact and beyond the limited purpose for which he was granted immunity, sir.
For them to say you can tell us the truth but you can't tell Congress makes no sense.
please.